Through the mind of a harpist. You are about to relive with me a journey that occurred as I examined and edited a harp score for an opera entitled Dream Maker by Dominic Guastafaro. Due to its profusion of exemplary situations encountered by composers when writing for this challenging instrument, the Dream Maker harp part was selected for this presentation. The focus is primarily on two features unique to the harp that require attention while attempting to produce functional harp composition. These two items are pedals and placing. During our trip, you will become acquainted with pedal matrices, intended to assist harpists during rehearsals and composers during their writing processes. Additionally, you will encounter the effective use of enharmonic spellings, pedal change organization, and rhythmic integration of pedal changes. Equally important is the comprehension of hand placement and subsequent desirable notation divided between the staves. Unlike piano scores, the treble and bass clef indications are employed more interchangeably in harp composition. The fact that harpists need to place fingers securely on strings before plucking necessitates special configurations. In this picture, my fingers are placed on 8 strings simultaneously. 4 strings in the right hand, 4 in the left. Harpists do not use their 5th fingers. When examining the picture, it is clear to see that the left hand potentially could play above the right hand, and the right hand could move below where the left hand is. Clefs are used more interchangeably in harp composition than they are in piano composition. Another unique feature of harp performance is the need for dampening. Plucked strings resonate for an indeterminate length of time until dampened. In this picture, the left hand is in a dampening position. By opening up the palm and using the flat side of the hand, it is possible to dampen a series of strings at the same time. It is also possible to quickly move the hand across many strings and dampen a whole area. Ignorance of these issues may be bliss for composers, but nightmares for harpists when viewing and attempting to play new works. Although there may be differences of opinions among harpists concerning the details I present, my edited scores will nonetheless likely save hours and hours of preparation time. A well-thought-out product, visible to the viewer, also may be the factor in whether a harpist agrees to tackle your composition. I leave you with the quote of harpist Myra Claveri after viewing one of my earlier works. "Dear Shirley, you deserve an award from Amnesty International. You have just saved every harpist who plays that piece from being tortured." Myra Claveri. In my primary presentation, Through the Mind of a Harpist, you will see many pages like these that are presented here. This is the page that I got from the composer, and this is the after page, what it looked like after working on it. What I first noticed are the profusion of pedal changes indicated here. If you look at the after page, it looks greatly simplified. It was deemed necessary to make a G natural and A natural at this point before proceeding to this measure. At that point, the matrix would look like this, with an F sharp, a C sharp, and an F sharp. It would have been possible to make a C natural, either with the G natural or A natural, but it's okay to do it right here. And at this point, we see that the foot can stay on that same pedal, as indicated by this dotted line, and change to a C sharp when indicated here. When we come over here, we need a C natural again, so the foot still stays right there. At this point, we need a C sharp again. You will notice down here a dampening sign. This C natural is likely to still be vibrating at the time this change is indicated. Therefore, it would be a good idea to dampen that string at the time this pedal is being changed. That will avoid making any unnecessary pedal sound. I see over here a lot of pedal changes. Well, duplicate once again. And I see this chord all in the upper hand here. What I elected to do was preserve the C sharp and F sharp, which means I don't need the D flat and G flat. And I put those two notes plus the B flat in the lower part. I was trying to create a melodic line in the upper part, and it was easier to do that by taking some of the notes out here and putting them down below. So here I have my foot on a B pedal in order to make that B flat. And instead of going to a C flat, which would necessitate my moving my foot over to the C pedal, I elected just to stay on the B string here and change to a B natural. When I have played this note, it will be vibrating, but when I replace my finger on that note, it will stop the vibration. Therefore, we should not have an unwanted pedal noise when we play this B natural. When I got to the end of the line, I elected to have a G sharp instead of an A flat, so I did have to make a pedal change there. Part of the reason that I did that is that I had looked ahead into the passage over here and noticed a whole lot of pedal changes, and it looked to me like this would be totally impossible to deal with. If I look at the pedal changes here, I see that the A and E and the F and E flat and all that are on the same side, and those changes would have to be made as fast as 30-second notes. It didn't look very feasible to me. So I decided to play around with some enharmonic spellings. Made this a G sharp, a C sharp, D sharp, and an F sharp. The G sharp I have from back here. The C sharp I also have from back there. F sharp I also have. Just needed to make a D sharp there. For this group of notes, I needed to change a C and F, which I could do right together. Then this goes back and repeats to the first group. I need to change back to F sharp and C sharp, and continues to do that throughout this measure. Back to F and C, F sharp and C sharp, F and C, F sharp and C sharp. And I can change those rhythmically. So this comes on an and, this is on 2, and 3 note changes, and 4, and. It still might be advisable to attempt to do this as glissando and maybe just continue to do those rhythmic changes for a special effect. That depends on how fast this is going to go and the harpist that's going to play it. So there's always the person that has the final say on how things are going to go will be the actual harpist who is going to perform this. It is my desire that you find Through the Mind of a Harpist illuminating, and that your adventure with me will empower you to make a significant contribution to the harp composition of the 21st century. You are now seeing a page from one of my compositions entitled Metaphysical Waltz. On this page are some special effects. At the top you will see a thumbnail, and this is instructing the harpist to use the fingernails of the second fingers going downward and the thumbnails of the thumb going upward. It gives a rhythmic indication of what timing that will take. So you rest on beat 1 and then go down on the and up on the next beat. Again, we have a rhythmic indication for glissando. Notice that there are no pitch indications here. It just indicates an area of the harp for this to be done on. This is ordinary, so that means that we do not any longer use the fingernail, and we have this rhythm that's indicated down here. This is a pedal matrix telling the harpist what position the pedals are in at that moment. Over here, we use the pedals in order to create some special tonal effects with the glissando. The glissando is indicated to go up for an eighth note, down on the next eighth note, up again, down again, up again, and then down, with pedal changes occurring on beat 1 and beat 2 and on the end of 2. At this point, we see a special symbol here indicating thunder on the wires. This was an effect that was created by Carlos Salcedo. And what the harpist does is just pull the strings really hard, the very low strings, so they sort of clang against each other, and so that they last and make this really wild sound. Actually, this will be still vibrating through here. I did not indicate that it should be dampened. If you see down here, it actually says LV, laissez vibra, let that vibrate. This looks complicated for a harpist when they see all these accidentals, but the fact is we have made all the changes that are necessary up here during this glissando. So here it's just an issue of placing the hands on the appropriate strings. You also notice here you have brackets and an R that indicates that the right hand will place those notes, then the left hand will place those notes, etc. on down through this run. Here's another little special effect. There's a half moon indicating use of the fingernail, and this would just be a real quick flick up this in the higher register. You notice that there's sort of an X through this note head indicating that that is not supposed to be a particular pitch. Again, we see the thunder on wires, we see the thunder on wires, and the upward arrow here for this special little gliss that just happened. Sometimes I call that a flick. It's just a quick little move. For those composers interested in using a lot of special effects, I recommend The Modern Study of the Harp by Carlos Salcedo, and he depicts all kinds of special sounds. I'm sure if you check around on YouTube, you will find some tutorials about those indications, what they mean, and how they're performed. My presentation, Through the Mind of a Harpist, deals with the essentials of harp performance and notation, which is focused on pedaling and placing. Here it's a listing of some of my harp performances that can be found on SoundCloud. On this page are more listings, along with a brief bio.